Hi, welcome to Kim's Art Show, episode 31. We are working in pastel. And last episode I started this little panorama, and it is February. And I'm tired of things looking cold and snowy, and so we are doing summer in the studio. We are working with the NuPastels and Sennelier pastels on Pastel Card by Sennelier. And I had a piece of paper here, and then I did a pastel last time, and so I cut it, and now I'm gonna do this marsh, but a different one. This isn't sandwich. And I am gonna do the same sort of panorama again. And I'm gonna sketch it out. So this one is very much a traditional horizontal perspective, and I am going to skew it into some sort of like a panorama, because that's what I do. I am going to claim the horizon line. And in this instance, you'll see there's more marsh than sky, and I like that. But what I'm going to probably do is crop it so that you won't see as much sky. The sky is busy, the grasses are busy, and then there's water and like lights hitting the little spray marsh grasses. It's a lot of stuff. And so I'm going to simplify the sky and not have as many clouds. So trees in the back, tree connector, trees over here. Then there's like vegetation in the front. Then there's this like marsh opening. And I have claimed the water part. Now there's like we talk about this. I think one of the hardest things in landscape is that those grasses, even if it's just a field of grasses, right? The light hits the top of the grasses, but there's also the side of the grasses and then the dirt. And so in this instance, this is the water. There's some reflection. Then there's the front of those grasses, sorta. And then there's the top. So these kinds of scribbly marks are just a little guidepost for me to see where that there's reflection, there's the front, there's the top. You'll just have to trust me that we'll get there. All right, where's my lightest light? It's the sky, which is different from last time. No, different than the one that I did in the snow, because the sun hitting the snow is actually the lightest, and it's kind of dramatic when the sky is not the lightest part, but here it is. So we're gonna start top to bottom, cover the surface and see what happens. I had forgotten my gloves, so I'm being very particular, slow. I think not having gloves makes me a little bit more deliberate and careful. And you know, those descriptions, deliberate and careful, are wonderful. Like, I should be that way all the time. But if you've watched any of the prior episodes, you know sometimes it's like, I just want to paint. And so I'm not as deliberate or careful as I should be. And we've talked about that too, like should is a very difficult word. There are so many things that I should do, should be. I'll always teach best practices. That doesn't mean that I am doing those, just like everyone. All right, the sky is in. I'm quickly being like, hey, that is the reflection of the sky. I'm carrying it over a little bit because it's very dead center, but I don't mind that. And I think when it's done, you're gonna have a nice sense of center of interest is gonna be more over here, because it's like the lightest lights will meet some of those darkest darks. Okay, next color. Let's do these trees in the distance. Warm colors come forward, cool colors recede. So the glory of pastel, I'm picking a color that I think is a cool, lighter than too dark kind of bluey green and carving that in. And there it is. You can probably just kind of ghostedly see it on this dark paper. The dark paper is really fun to use because you are only painting the effects of the light. So because it's cold, it's pushed back. I'm going to grab a dark warm tone. That's not the dark warm, but this one is. And I'm going to put in some darks over here. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I bet it can, because I've seen some of the episodes that I've recorded, and the cameras do a good job of seeing these little nuances. But it's like if you were in black and white, this color and this color would be comparable in how dark they are. But this one is blue with a lot more yellow, and this is a blue with only a tiny bit of yellow. And so Atmospheric Perspectives pulls this forward and pushes that back. There are times in painting when it's important to get things correct. And I have found that that's when I get quiet when I'm doing the show. There's a lot of green that's the same, and it's the sky hitting the surface of the marsh. What color is that? To get that color right is important. I'm holding the pastel sideways like it's a big flat brush, and I am directionally painting it up and down. I kind of like that. It's giving me a sense of the color that I want it to become. Sideways, big strokes. Now, if I were painting on a light color, this would have a whole different impact. But if you saw the prior episode, you see how I have to layer to get it to the value that I want it. And that makes me slow down and be deliberate. That's not a bad thing. This, like marshes, you know, I love to paint the marsh. This is a little different one. You know, the marsh that I love, love, love to paint is on the North Shore of Massachusetts. When you go to the Museum of Fine Arts and you go into the American wing, you find a lot of that marsh being painted. Like there's such a beautiful history of that great salt marsh on the North Shore. This is on the Cape, so it's a little bit different, but still totally beautiful. So I'm trying to now, you'll see that I started to bring this green up. So it probably has like 2 coats, 2 visits. I need to do that to the sky. The NuPastels, they have so many colors, 96, but I'm always let down with sky color. The softer ones have a lot of colors, and I use them all up. And it's hard for me to decide what color is it. So I have this very light color that's bluish but very white. And you can see I'm trying to get in on there and like really push in enough that it covers the dark, dark gray that I'm working on. And so it's building up that value. And I don't want to just use my finger and soften it because that kind of flattens it out. So I do want to blend by putting a color on top. And I grabbed this peachy light tone to see like what happens. I like that there's this like little kiss of warm. I've talked before, and I kind of chuckled at my word use, that the description is like, we don't want cold paintings. If you're going to put a painting in your house somewhere and it's cold and like sterile, like, it's not gonna feel good. We don't want paintings like that. We want paintings that are warm and embracing. So that's what I'm trying to go for. Even when I use white, I try to use warm whites. When you paint white in your house, don't paint a white that almost has a blue cast to it. Paint a white that has a warm color note. Just like when I did my first layer, right? I did the sky, and then I did this little reflected waterway through the marsh. I am doing the same thing here. This is a very warm yellowy tone, and I'm bringing some of that into the pastel sky as well. I like what it looks like. All right, taking a second. Let's get some of the darks in. Oh no, if I'm starting top to bottom, let's do some more addressing of the trees in the way back. So the light hits these a little bit more than it hits these because of atmospheric perspective, and these are closer to us. So I'm gonna spend a little time like putting a little warmer, lighter, more intense color there. So you can probably see that there's a difference. Is it right? I don't know yet, but I'm getting there. Probably needs to be darker, so I might go into the Sennelier soft sticks that make my fingers all dirty and claim some color. I also want this to be a little bit bigger. And so I am going right on top of the sky. So I want this now to be smaller. Any of the opaque mediums, right? They're so forgiving. Let's pick a color in my hard pastel stick, and I'm gonna go over that. All right, so just like that, I've erased the whole tree bank that was too large. And I'm just kind of, just like how I use brushes that are kind of like splayed and the bristles aren't all clean, it's that makes it more believable, and so that's what I am playing with. So I like that, right? Very much like perspective, putting our eye somewhere. There's going to be some nice light that comes through here and moves us back over here. Always being careful to build the whole piece up concurrently so that it doesn't feel disjointed, right? It's important, like, so if this has been brought up to a certain level, this and this, now I have to do the greens in the marsh. Back to NuPastels. This is the same color that I used last time, but I'm pushing in more and claiming what those colors are. And this is where it starts to get fun. It's always fun, but where I start to be like, is this right? It is. What's next? What else do I want to say? It's got some depth too, which is kind of fun. There are beautiful yellows. It's probably like burnt grass, but we don't know that for sure. What we do know is there's a new color. And I have this NuPastel that is a really pretty rusty, mustardy orange. And so on its side, like a flat brush, I am putting that in. And it screams across, starting kind of small over here. And then there's a lot of it through here. There's a dark, so it's like that streamlet of this water, probably like tidal, right? Little river estuary comes through. And so I like that a lot. Remember how I said that when I put them back, I put them at a slant so I know what I have used. Can you see that? It's helpful when I go back to grab something, I can just see at a glance the colors that I've played with. Okay, sky, trees in the distance, marsh grass coming forward. I want to play with some color here. It's lightest over here, and then this is more blue. So what color do I want for that? What color is this? This could be good or bad. It's a little too intense, so I do it very lightly. No problem. I like that. I just kind of carefully brought it into the sky too. I might regret that, but hey, it's all good. It's easy to fix. There are times, and it's nerve-wracking doing a show, that I'm like, why did I do that? But I think it's so valuable to see that like anything can be fixed. It's no big deal. I'm just bringing that pink back into the sky. And so something happened that is, as I brought it, I touched the green. And so now there's green up in the sky. It's okay though. Fixative, etc., can bring things back. We're at a point that as I paint, I can start to make some of those little decorative marks that are very linear. Like I don't know if you can see, but there are like these little hatches of color. I mean, right? Because yes, it's trees, it's sky, it's water, but actually it's just me. I'm going to change color so I know you'll be able to see it, and I'll do it over here. It's just me saying, this is the marsh grass that I want you to notice. Right, so it's a lighter, oh my gosh, is it the same? It's not lighter, but I'm going to get lighter. So it's a lighter green, and there are parts, see, that I can start to say these are the marsh grasses in the foreground that are noticeable because they're where we are. They're the same grasses in the back, but because we're so distant, you know, like from them, they just blend. Holding this big stick on its side, I can get such coverage. All right, I want some darks. Putting these back at that angle, making sure my hand's not so dirty. Let's see, I want to still play with that. Again, asking myself questions and answering them. What color am I looking for? What are the color notes, the value? All of that is so helpful. It answers, it helps us define color and our relationship with color so well. Okay, the darks. I think I'm going to have to go into the soft pastels to really get in some darks. Let's see how this color does. Okay, it is too blue, so I'm grabbing another green that's dark. So, making note that there is that waterway, but we don't see the water there, but we start to see it over here. Right through there, negative space, positive space, even through there. Right, so see how I'm starting to kind of carve that out? It's funny, those little words that we say in painting, like I am carving, claiming. Right, I think it's really coming into focus. And in just these little marks. Okay. Dark over here. And with pastel, more than other mediums, I feel, those directional marks you make help so much. Like, I like that. Like, see, just a little swoop, and you're having a sense of, I'll go back in with some negative space, positive space, and claim some of that reflection. But I like what's happening. So I'm going to step back and see, what do I think it needs? All right, I want to answer some of that water, and I want to reclaim some of the brightness in that, in the marsh grasses. So this color is a very greeny yellow. And holding it on its side, I'm trying to say what I need. So we know, like, nature is not in these perfect linear things, so we break it up a little. You know, and I talk about, you don't need a lot of detail. But the truth is, like, the detail can be fun to paint. I do find myself drawn to the detail. And it's funny, right? Drawn. I'm pulled to the detail, but also the detail are the drawing parts. I'm having a lot of fun with this, but it's like, I've said it so many times, like, the marsh is my happy place. I feel confident in painting it because I've painted it so often. So I'm softening things, I'm bringing things up to the level I think it needs to be. And I'm doing this thing that I'm like making these linear marks, and then I'm going over it with the side, which basically kind of knocks it back into the landscape. All right. Let's pull up this water a little bit more again. I'm having a hard time finding what color I want that water to be. There isn't, I mean, it's never a pastel painting experience without not having, like, you know, you don't have the color you're looking for, but that's all right. I think I'm going to lighten that up. Back to the soft guys. Is it this one? This is kind of a drag. Like, pastels get so little that I find myself using these tiny little pieces. We know that I'm playing with this reference a lot, that our sky doesn't show some of the darks. So I'm deciding, like, do I want my water just to be a series of light, or do I want to suggest clouds? So what I'm doing is lightening it up, and I can decide if I want to make those changes as the painting progresses. Okay, I'm going to still bring out, I don't know if you can tell, but let's see. So the lightest, this yellow that's mid-tone, I can push that more. I'll use the soft ones so that they sit on the surface, but then it's like, what color am I going to choose? Oh, that's a pretty one, but not what I want. What about this guy? I can usually look at the box. There are certain colors that I hardly use. Like, look at this one. It is, you know, like fuchsia. When you use this, it's like you'd kind of just do a little few dots, and that's like the beach roses. So I don't use it a lot. But colors like this are broken and narrow because I use it a lot. So when I'm not sure, like, what color do I need, I can almost look to my pastel box to know exactly. So I grabbed this color. I see the difference, but it's negligible. And that's not what I was going for. I was trying to give it oomph. So it's funny that I was holding back on drama. Again, I need it to be more yellow. How about this guy? This is crazy yellow. Is this going to be too yellow? Yes. Back to NuPastels. Oh, this color has been good for me. This color has been good for me. Let's see. Not enough. Oh, that's better. So our attention, right, is into this midpoint. I think I need some of those darks darker. Let's see, can I add, this is a deep, deep red, but red and green are opposites. So when I put them together, they tend to kind of like dull down, and red is so warm that it pulls you right forward. I'm just giving a kind of quick suggestion of some things in the back because I realized it had been a long time since I did that, and the whole piece can start to feel disjointed if I don't give a little attention to all of it. I think I've said it before, but you know, who knows? You might not have watched every episode, which I wouldn't blame you, but oh, I just dropped a piece. Like the warm colors come forward, cool colors go back. You want to make sure that the whole piece develops at the same level. Sometimes pieces within a painting become too precious. You have to be careful about that. You don't want a part of your painting too precious. And so we're winding down. And so I always want to be like, what will make the most impact? And so that's going to be big marks. Like it's a combo of simplifying and complicating. And some of those bigger marks. You know, at home, when I'm not being recorded, I might be prone to make some bigger marks quicker because it's easier for me to fix or explain why to myself. I'm not like held to any sort of judgment, but here I want to make sure that it makes sense. But I'll tell you that the need to slow down has helped me greatly improve as a painter because I'm thinking more as opposed to reacting. Oh, I do love the marsh. If you think of a place where you connect to, go paint that, look at that. And this is where I might take out my pencil and be like, is there anything that would help? I always like these little marks throughout. So the marsh in the middle of winter. It's been really fun painting today. My favorite place. I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you so much for watching.